Wow. Thank you for that introduction, Dallin and Daniel. We are so excited to be with you today. And also, we just want to tell you how much we love you. Thank you for this opportunity. And also, the Vaseo family, we love you, and we wouldn't be here as a whole without the whole community, right? But also our wonderful team, who we have grown so much in love with. God has given us such amazing people to work with every single day. And what I know, they'll be lifelong friends, and that I would have never had without this profession. And last but not least, my beautiful bride, who I get to do this business with. She's amazing. She's powerful. She's a leader. She's a wonderful mother and wife. And also our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without his favor, without his anointing, without his direction, without his correction as well, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So, for me, the whole part of this convention is to get you in a better position, right? And as we're moving forward, we're looking forward to January, right? When we're in person and we can hug each other and we can be together and we're not here with no one around, right? And I believe January 2023 is the next chapter of Vaseo, but it starts now. Why do I say that? Because you got to push now to get to January, right? And today we are going to share with you what we feel is the most important, and it's mastering the art of the three-way call.
Oh, well, thank you, baby, for the kind words. And you are a powerful, awesome servant leader too. And I just enjoy doing every day with you here in Vaseo and what we've created here together. All right, so Vaseo family, today we're just going to share with you the number one way we share the Vaseo business, and we feel like three-way phone calls are the most effective way to build your business. And when we look at our organization, the people that do the three-way phone calls, we really feel like, really their business grows a lot faster, a lot quicker. And so, my husband and I, when we first got involved in this industry, and our first mentor showed us the power of leverage and using third-party validation, we were like blown away. I mean, especially me coming from corporate America, like I had to do everything on my own. And really all I had to do is, bring him into the scenario, and he would tell all of the information and I would just get the benefit of it. And I didn't have to have any special skills or talent or experience. We were like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. So in our first company, we got so excited. We made a big list, made 250 phone calls in a week, and used this combination of leverage, using third-party validation, using someone else's success for my success, combining that with a three-way phone call, and magic happened. We hit diamond in 7 days. And then as the Lord moved us into Vaseo years later, we really tried it again. And guess what? It worked, and it was powerful. And it's, the system has been tried and true. So for us to hit black diamond in just a couple of months using the system here in another company, it's validated. So today, you might be thinking, oh, I really don't feel comfortable with three-way calls. Well, I have to tell you, neither did I. I mean, I literally, you can probably remember, I was like shaking in the corner the first time I did a three-way phone call. But I can tell you now that I have replaced that fear with knowledge. I love three-way phone calls, and it's super powerful. So I believe if you do this professionally, you will see a change in your business. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about what a three-way phone call is. Now, a three-way phone call is not where you're going to have this leader just vomiting a bunch of information. That's not what it is. It's a professional call where you have a visual presentation. There's a fluent dialogue, a dialogue between your prospect and your leader, okay? And then, at this call, right, the whole purpose of it is really just to give them an overview of what we have to offer, not necessarily to close them. A lot of times people feel like, oh, I'm not sure if my friend's going to want to get on a three-way phone call because I don't want to make them feel pressured anyway. That's not what it's supposed to be or feel like. It's not supposed to feel like, oh, I'm going to close you. It's more of like, what are your needs? How can I serve you? That's the type of servitude that you want to have on these calls. All right, so the components of a three-way call, it's not just throwing everything on the wall and see what sticks, okay? There's a method to our madness. So there's an introduction, an edification. We're going to talk some more about these. We're going to use form. A lot of you might know what form is, and we're going to tell our story, that is like the number one thing that we need to do or learn how to do in this profession. So make sure you know to tell your story, identify the need, and then we're going to go to the close and follow up.
Yeah, and Francoise mentioned that, when she's came to that point and said, three-way phone calls that you might have felt uncomfortable or you didn't want to do it. Where I want to reference to is like when you go to drive your car, are you scared? Do you have fear? No. Why? Because you've mastered that, right? When you ride your bicycle, you've mastered that. What you're feeling is you're scared because you haven't done it. But what you need to do, and what I did and what my wife did when we started in this profession, we looked at the other person that mastered this part of this business. And what was their success? Their success was millions and a lot of lives impacted. So look at it that way. Only reason you feel that is because you haven't mastered it. You're scared, and you're not scared when you drive the car.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. So let's talk about what this three-way phone call looks like. All right. So in the beginning of a three-way phone call, we really like to start off with a visual presentation. People are 65% visual. So for me, a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? There are some things you just can't verbalize. And so we like to share the We Are Viseo video. That is my favorite. It gives a high-level overview talking about all 5 pillars of the company. And then we like to move into the liposomal advantage video. And that is just a really simple way of understanding the amazing technology that we have here as a company.
And make sure when you're sharing the visual overview, as Francoise has shared with you, make sure if you've heard anything about this, make sure you're sharing the video once you have your prospect, your person on the phone with you, because then you can lose them. If you get them on the phone, then you can get your leader, your upline on the phone as well, and they can see there's support, there's leverage, there's help. And that is a huge key in building this business.
Absolutely. All right. And the next process of the three-way phone call is the edification process. And this is very important that we do this effectively, because if you don't, it makes it very difficult for that transition to go smoothly.
Absolutely. So, as you're prospecting and you're sharing this on that three-way phone call, the more you talk about your leader, the better for your possibilities of getting them into your organization, because the leader doesn't have to talk about their self. The more the leader has to talk about their self to the prospect, guess what? The prospect goes, he or she is trying to sell me. They're trying to show me how great they are so they can push me into this business. If you can take that aspect out of it and form the gap, form the void by pushing them together with information about your prospect, information as much as possible about the leader, then you're forming that gap between them and you're bringing them closer together.
Yeah. And what I like to do is always edify the prospect first, because sometimes the prospect is a little nervous to be on the phone and uneasy. So this does ease the whole situation, because who doesn't like to hear nice things? So maybe if you're if I'm the prospect and I wasn't really comfortable with the whole situation, and hear my friend saying, oh, you're one of my closest friends. I love you. I just honor you as a friend. And I think you're an amazing mom and a wife and everything. You're kind of like, oh, that's so nice. And so
who doesn't want to be talked good about by someone else, right?
Yeah. So it's very nice to do the prospect first, then the leader. And remember, this call is all about the prospect. So you're not only just elevating that leader, you definitely want to elevate your friend as well. All right, so let's talk about the next step, and that's forming. Now, this is important because your form is going to be the baseline for the rest of your call. And for me, anytime I get on a connect call, we also use a three-way phone call or connect call interchangeably. So I might mess that up throughout this. But, anytime you do a three-way phone call and you're on that call as a leader, I take that super seriously, because the Lord has put us in a place where we could possibly have this 20-30-minute call that could change that person's life. And so for me, I always have a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm writing down things. And I'm just not writing down what the form. I'm writing down little key words that the person tells me about how they feel, how they respond. Because one of the things when we stop that video, the first thing I like to say is, tell me, so from that video, from the high level overview video, what did you like best about it? What resonated with you? What spoke to you? And they're going to tell you a couple of things, right? So from what they tell you, and then the questions that you're going to ask with form, and form is family. So you're going to ask them, tell me about your family. Do you have children? You're trying to find common grounds, like ability, occupation. So the O is for occupation. What do you do for a living? And if the edification process process was done very well, you might not even have to form that much, which is nice, because then you can just take all that information and start talking and try to find some common grounds. But if not, you're going to have to use this form and pull it out of them. R is for recreation. So anything in your life that they like to do, they're the fun things in their life, right? And then M is for motivation or dream. So you're going to be asking these questions, and just be careful, like as you're talking and you're going through them, you don't have to hit them all. If you feel like you've got enough information to move forward, because if you ask them all and it's like not a dialogue and it's like a monologue situation where you feel like you're just asking, it does feel like an interrogation, doesn't it? Like you're like, okay, am I in a job interview? Like what's going on here, right?
The thing that you're teaching here is the same thing for recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people are scared of recruiting, but also this is a leader foreman on a phone call. It's the same principle, the same business practice in this profession to recruit people. You know, if you have no problem in the break room or in the elevator if someone says hey to you, right? If I was meeting Francoise, I'd say, hey, Francoise, I mean, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? And she would say, I say, where are you from? And what would you say? Tampa.
Yeah.
I'd say, what do you do in Tampa?
That's attractive nursing.
Oh, I thought you were a supermodel. So, you know, that is forming. That's what you do every day. But, you know, that is what it's simple. Everybody wants to tell you where they're from, what they do. You know, do you have kids? It's the same thing you do on the phone call as a leader. And in that moment, guess what? You're relating. I have kids too. My kids are 13 and 15. And my 15-year-old thinks he knows everything. You know, oh yeah, so does mine. Well, then immediately you formed a relationship and now you have common ground to start a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one key thing here you have to remember is just to listen more. Sometimes we get nervous and want to talk and just be that leader and that expert, but that's not really what it's for. An expert does sit back and listen and hear what that prospect is looking for. And, you know, as we move into that next step is really just identifying needs. So after you have a good edification process and you've done a really nice form, you're hopefully at this point identifying things that that person is looking for. And, you know, one good way to find a need is listen to what they say spoke to them when they watched the video. Because some people will watch that We Are Viseo video and you say, what do you like best about it? You know what they say? Oh, you know, I'm really open to that cause. Like, tell me more about what you're doing in Africa. And so you might, as the brand partner might be like, oh, this person would be so into the products, right? So that's what you were going to come in and that's how you're going to really present it to that prospect. But maybe that wasn't their heart at all, right? Maybe they're looking for more purpose, or maybe you're talking to somebody in the medical professional, right? Medical profession. And they're like, you know, I really would love to get on my job. Tell me more about the opportunity. So for me, I just take that one thing that they say and I start from that, and then I build on that. Once I find common grounds, I start to build on the things they're saying. Then I'm just searching for how can I bring more value to their life? What can Viseo fill for them? What kind of void could they fill in their life? And that's really what it is, identifying the needs. And you have to pay close attention to the words that they say. And as you start to move through the call, one thing I like to do is move from the facts and really work from the inside out. Really just find out what it is they're truly looking for and use stories. And this is where your story comes in. And maybe if you have nothing in common with the person, this is why it's great to have a file cabinet of stories from your team, because you can use someone else's story and be super powerful, right? On my team, I feel like I use other people's story more than I use my own, especially because our story has gotten so big that it's not relatable. So I use like Lauren's story's got huge too, right? I can hardly use hers anymore because it's gotten so big. But, you know, I use like just Megan Norcus's story. It's a beautiful story, you know?
I mean, that's a perfect story that you're telling right now. Megan Norcus, 26 years old, registered nurse, doesn't practice as a nurse. By using this system, she just found someone 2 weeks ago that she met in a training together. And guess what? That woman, Tanya, is a physician assistant. Let me put three-way call in perspective for you. Physician assistant that works nights, that works 60 hours a week. Do you think she could do anything else besides a three-way call? Let me show you what she's done in 2 weeks. She's brought in 17 prospects and halfway to Riviera Maya in 2 weeks. She could not do that normally and do home meetings or anything else because she's working nights.
Yep.
So this way gives people the ability to do it on their lunch break. It gives people to do it on their way to work, on their way home, when their kids are eating dinner, certain aspects of the day when normal people that are working really hard can't do other ways. This gives you another tool in the toolbox. But whoever tells the best stories and does it enough builds the biggest business, right?
Absolutely. So throughout this, really the main goal is just identifying the need and really finding a personal connection. And then, as we start to move through that, it's really the closing. It's the end of the call. These calls should be about 20 to 30 minutes top. Always be very sensitive to the time that prospect has allotted. I usually like to say, is there a hard stop at a certain time, especially when they're moms and it's around, 2-3 o'clock when they're picking up their kids. I just like to be aware of these things. And personally, I never ask for less than 20 minutes because I don't think it's fair for the leader that's hosting that call for you, that's helping you to be able to do all the things that they need to do in a short period of time, especially if that prospect has questions. And so at this point, when you're going into the close, you just really want to recap, right? You want to take all that information that you've heard. And for me, I like just to put everything into real life scenarios. So like if it's a single mom and she's like, yeah, I kind of want to do something on the side. I like to show her how Viseo will fit in her life, because sometimes people really don't understand it. So then I might say, hey, so, tell me what your normal day looks like. And then I fit Viseo and how she could build it. So, when you're doing your laundry, or you're cleaning your house, or you're cooking dinner, these are times you're going to fit in these three-way phone calls. And I usually always like to ask them, do you feel like you can do what we did here today? Because I think that is so important, because when you're looking at these three-way phone calls, it's doing so much more than just giving information. It's showing that prospect that there's support, that they're not going to be on their own, right? Because a lot of times you feel like you're on your own. It's showing them that there's a system in place, right, where they don't have to have all the information. They don't have to be an expert. They can literally make a decision today. I want to do Viseo. I want to build a business. And within a couple hours after they do your team training or whatever it is that they have to do, they can go out and start sharing. It's that easy, and they can make a check on a Friday. So if you can start putting these things in this prospect's mind and letting them know, like, hey, this is the process, and let them see themselves in it, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing as I'm sitting here to build a big organization or grow your business is the word pressure. The more you can take pressure off the person you're sharing Viseo with, pressure from even from the invite, a non-pressure. And when she said professional, that's just really meaning no pressure. When you're a professional inviter, a professional scheduler in this profession, you're just taking the pressure off the person. And then when you get to the start of the call, if you're a leader, this is what I say, look, hey, you can just relax. I'm not here to sell you. I'm just here to share my story, what's happened in my life. And when I get done, I'm sure something will resonate either from my story or from that video, and you can ask me questions. That's really what I'm here for. There's no pressure. I always say that. And then in the closing, I always say, look, the first step is getting on the products, like I did. Like if Francoise is the one putting me on the phone, like Francoise did. I am relating our stories by saying, hey, our first step was just getting on the products so we can build that belief. So they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to sign up and these people are going to want me to build this thing like tomorrow. No, because that's really, we laugh.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of their responses. Well, I'm not ready to build, to start doing this. I'm like, no, that's not what we're here for. We're showing you the support. We're showing you how powerful these products, how awesome the timing of the company, how wonderful the leadership is of this company. We have Dallin A. Larson, who built 2 of these to $1 billion. So when we give them that whole thing, then in the closing, I always say, look, let's get you started with products. And how do we do that? Then the process, if she's bringing on someone on the phone with me, the prospect, I'm asking Francoise, because I'm the leader, hey, Francoise, can you send whoever we're doing it with, say Kim, can you send her the enrollment sheet so she can look at the packages and I can go over it, not letting Francoise do that part either. And then I'm validating how important it is to get product in your body, but also how big it is to get the 2% revenue share of this company.
That's right. Yeah. And, at this time, you should probably have a really good understanding whether, your prospect is either a customer, more type product person, or if they're going to be someone who would like to build a business. So hopefully throughout this, you've found a destination, you know which way to go.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't feel pressured at that moment. So at the end, you know, obviously you send the enrollment form, you go over that, you give them some options. I always say, get in where you fit in. They might be ready to get started. And that's I think that's a hard thing for some people to say is, would you like to get started? But it's something you have to learn, because people don't know the next step. And if you don't ask them, you'll never know. And the worst that they can say is no, right? But it really gives you an idea to identify whether they want to do something today or not. There's always the scale that you can use on a scale from 1 to 10, you know, 1 being like you would not be interested at all, and 10 being like you're all in. You know, you can ask them a scale. This would give you an idea. And then if they say anything over like a 1, I think it's amazing, right? And then, you know, really what you can say is, what information can I give you to get you from that 4 to a 10, right? And then that's how you start to pull information. And hopefully, as you're looking at your notes, you're seeing the things and you've identified their needs. And from there, you're going to figure out what you're going to send them. So some of the things we like to send after a 3-way phone call, keep on wanting to say connect call, after a 3-way phone call is the product video always. So I always like the high level overview of all the products, whatever, if your team has one, or just the company ones, the ones that interest them the most, and then the family of products, because I feel like if they're interested in sleep and you send them to sleep, that's all they know we have, right? So if you send the family of products, it's almost like that sleep could be the mannequin in the window. And then if you go in and you search around the store, guess what? You don't only leave with the shirt you saw on the mannequin, but you leave with the belt, the purse, and the shoes. And I feel like that's how it is in Maseo. If you get them in the store, they're going to buy more. So make sure you're giving them a little bit more information, but not overwhelming where they're like, wait a second, I'm feeling pressure, or, you know, that you're trying to push me into something. If you have a Maseo presentation that was done by the company or even your team, I think those are great for a second look, especially if they have a spouse and the spouse is not on the call, right? I try to send something that gives a conclusive like overview of the company, because if you don't, that spouse is going to go back and they're really going to try to regurgitate all the things you said. And he's going to be like, what, are you crazy? You know? And so for me, just having that spouse being able to press play and let their significant other watch it, I think that's a great way. And then also the enrollment sheet, make sure you're sending that with the information. Sometimes people screenshot the first page and they don't do the second half. You know, it's hard to buy something you don't know how much it costs. So I think that's very important to make sure that they have the cost of each product and any additional links that you have that, you know, if they're medical, they'll usually want to see additional links. So I would have some sort of note in your phone that has all these things very well put together. So it's just easy to find. One thing about, you know, building a Maseo business is just being organized. I think it just helps big time, especially when you're busy, not to have things in all different places, is just to get organized and treat this like a real business. If you want it to be a real business, you have to treat it like one.
Yeah. And 2 points I want to make. Follow up. I know you look at that word and some of you are like, oh my gosh, they didn't sign up. They're never signing up in my business. I quit. Yeah, I get it. But let me tell you the facts. The facts are majority are going to come up in your business the more you follow up. If you are not committed to following up, then you won't build a big business. And I always say, follow up until they're dead or then they join your business. And also an important fact is make sure whoever's helping you on your 3-way calls, that leader stays on the call and helps you schedule that follow-up. But here's the most important, that same leader is open when you schedule that appointment. So both you and the leader can be on the follow-up call. That forms a tighter relationship. And guess what? That'll cut down on how many times you follow up, because then they're saying, okay, well, guess what? Ricky wasn't there just once. He was actually there twice. So these people really have a support system. That's what they're saying in their mind. So if you want to follow up by yourself, great. You'll just do it more. But if you want to follow up with the leader that was on the original call, you're doing less and you'll build your business faster. That's super important. And hey, I know y'all see this weird thing behind me, right? I think it's time for me to quickly show you, because we're on a time crunch. And, you know, I'm not on stage. I'm in my you might have to adjust that. So we're in our kitchen, right? And what I want to show you, you don't have to hold it. Just put it down and push it down a little bit.
Okay, there we go.
I'll stay right here. All right, what is this? This is a dolly, right? So I want to show you what the word leverage means in a three-way phone call, right? This is a dolly. We all know what a dolly is for, right? This right here is an end table, like, 60 plus pounds. Can I do this? Absolutely. I can pick this up, right? I can hold it, right? But think about this. If I have a dolly right beside it and I pick this up, does it look a little weird that I'm sitting here holding this when I can move it around the house? When I have something that can give me leverage and make this a lot lighter? Yes, right? So like, look, let me show you the difference. So look how different this is. Instead of me struggling to pick this up, I can put this right here. I can push this back and look what I can do now. I can move this around one finger. I can spin it and all this. But here's what happens in this profession. You don't use leverage and you decide, okay, come here, Vanna White. So I got Francoise here. She's in your mind, the dolly, right? I go, okay, well, Francoise is too busy. I don't want to mess with her. So I'm just going to do this by myself. I'm just going to struggle all the time. When Francoise is there all the time, ready to help you with the heavy stuff, or you go, oh, Lauren's going to think I'm dumb. I'm not going to introduce her right. Oh, my story is going to, you start playing all this negativity in your mind and you decide to pick up the business by yourself. When you have the help, you have the ability to leverage someone else. So you can walk around and literally be held like this in this business. This is leverage in a three-way phone call. Or you can choose to carry this weight around with you for the rest of your career in this profession, or until you quit because it's too hard. Because you decided that you want to be doing it by yourself because you started playing all this negativity in your mind instead of using help. All we have done is we decided to use the leverage since we started. That's it. That's the only thing we ever did. We decided to use help. You have leaders in this business, in this company, that will help you. Don't think Lauren doesn't want to help you. Don't think Lauren's too busy. Don't think we want to be busy. We want to help you. We want to transfer our knowledge into you, because when we transfer our knowledge into you, you become us. You go out and you bless thousands and thousands of lives because we transfer wisdom. We transfer knowledge into you from our experience. The problem in this profession, people think, oh, three-way call is too much work. Let the 2%ers go out there and just get all the people in. But guess what? They're getting the 98% in that can't do what the 2% can. And guess what? In a couple weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, the 98% is a bunch of dead bodies. The point of the three-way call is for the whole 100% to be able to do the same thing. And when you get that down in your business, then you have duplication, and then you have momentum, and then you have sustainability. And then we have a company, Baseo, that's $1 billion company, because we have everybody helping everybody. You know, Paul wrote a third of the Bible. And it's as you read that third of the Bible, the further you get in the Bible of Paul's writings, he pushes himself lower and lower and lower because he becomes a servant. He becomes humble. And that's why God used him to write a third of the Bible. If we get that hard in this company, where we serve the 98%, then we'll build a multi-billion-dollar brand, and we will bless millions of lives. It's up to you to use leverage, support, help. It's up to the leadership of the brand partners, the distributors, to decide that I'm going to serve. I'm going to push myself lower so I can push people higher. That is the greatest definition. You help other people get what they want, you get what you want. We love you, the Baseo family. My wife and I are so blessed to be a part of this profession, this company, and have the opportunity to take this company from where it's at now to millions and millions of lives across the globe. Thank you, and God bless.